Welcome back to Smart Money Summaries, where we break down the world's most influential finance books. No hype, just the facts. Today, we're exploring The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel. This book isn't about stock picks or budgeting hacks. Instead, it explores how our beliefs, emotions, and even luck shape our financial lives. Is understanding your own mind the real secret to wealth? Let's find out as we unpack the book's biggest lessons, weigh their strengths and weaknesses, and see what you should really take away. Unlike most finance books, The Psychology of Money focuses on the human side of money. Morgan Housel argues that our experiences, habits, and emotions matter just as much, if not more, than math or market trends. He wants us to ask, why do we make the money choices we do? Let's break down the most important ideas. Let's start with the foundation. Housel believes that money is far more emotional and personal than most people realize. He famously writes, "Your personal experiences with money make up maybe 0.000000001% of what's happened in the world, but maybe 80% of how you think the world works." What does this mean? It means that our beliefs about money are shaped by our upbringing, culture, and personal history. Whether we grew up during a recession, saw our parents struggle, or experienced sudden wealth. These experiences create a unique lens that colors every financial decision we make. But it's not just about background. Housel emphasizes that emotions, like fear, greed, pride, and anxiety, often drive our decisions. Even when we know the right answer logically, our feelings can push us toward irrational choices, like panic selling during a downturn or chasing risky investments out of FOMO. So, how does this lesson hold up in real life? Let's weigh both sides. On the positive side, this idea helps explain why even smart people make irrational financial choices. It encourages us to become more self-aware and emotionally intelligent about money. However, there are some downsides. Even if you recognize your emotional triggers, it's not always easy to change them. The book doesn't always offer step-by-step tools for overcoming these biases. If you remember just one thing, try to pause and reflect on your emotions before making big financial moves. Self-awareness is the first step toward better decisions. Next, Housel makes a powerful point. Building wealth has little to do with your income or investment returns, and lots to do with your savings rate. He argues that saving is a habit, not just a number. Even small, regular savings can add up over time, thanks to compounding. What's important here is that high income doesn't guarantee wealth. Many high earners spend everything they make, while moderate earners who save diligently often end up with more financial security. Housel emphasizes that the gap between what you earn and what you spend is the true measure of financial progress, and this principle applies at any income level. Let's look at why this lesson resonates and where it might fall short. On the plus side, this message is empowering. It means anyone at any income level can start building wealth. It shifts the focus from flashy earnings to steady, sustainable habits. However, there are a few caveats. The book doesn't fully address the real-world barriers that make saving difficult for some people, like low wages or high living costs. And sometimes it can feel a bit simplistic. Saving is important, but it's not always easy. Bottom line, start saving now, even if it's just a little. Consistency beats perfection, and small steps matter. Another major theme, the true magic in wealth building is compounding. Housel says, good investing is not about making good decisions. It's about consistently not screwing up. He uses Warren Buffett as an example. Most of Buffett's wealth came after his 50s, simply because he started early and let compounding work for decades. The lesson? Time is the most crucial element in compounding. The longer you let your money grow, the more powerful the effect. Housel stresses that you don't have to be a genius investor. What matters more is starting early, reinvesting your returns, minimizing fees and taxes, keeping a diversified portfolio, and avoiding panic selling when the market drops. So, what's great about this approach and what's not? Here's what works really well. Compounding makes wealth building accessible to everyone, not just financial wizards. It takes the pressure off trying to beat the market. But let's not ignore the challenges. Compounding requires patience. The results aren't instant, and it can be tough to stay the course during market downturns. Emotional discipline is key, and that's easier said than done. If you take nothing else away, let time and consistency work for you. The earlier you start, the more powerful compounding becomes. Housel says, "The highest form of wealth is the ability to wake up every morning and say, 'I can do whatever I want today.'" He argues that moderation and reasonable goals are the secret to long-term financial health. Setting realistic and achievable financial goals is more likely to lead to sustained success than chasing extreme wealth or taking big risks. This approach allows for a balanced life, saving, investing, and spending in a way that reduces stress and burnout. True wealth, according to Housel, is about freedom and flexibility, the ability to make choices about your time and energy, not just about buying more stuff. Let's consider both the strengths and the limitations of this idea. On the upside, this lesson promotes balance and mental well-being, not just financial growth. It helps reduce the risk of burnout or big financial mistakes. But there are some drawbacks. For those seeking rapid growth, this advice might feel uninspiring. Not everyone has the luxury to set moderate goals. Sometimes, circumstances demand more. Main takeaway: aim for financial freedom, not just financial excess. True wealth is about having choices, not just having more. Another big insight: luck and risk play a much bigger role in financial outcomes than we often admit. Housel reminds us that hard work and smart decisions matter, but so does being in the right place at the right time, or the wrong one. He points out that Bill Gates was lucky to attend one of the only high schools in the world with a computer in the 1970s, but also that many equally talented people never got the same chance. Recognizing the role of chance helps us stay humble in success and resilient in failure. But Housel doesn't just talk about luck. He stresses the importance of risk management. Diversifying investments, maintaining insurance, building an emergency fund, and avoiding high-interest debt are all essential strategies. Let's break down the pros and cons of this perspective. Here's what's valuable. It encourages humility and empathy for others' situations. It reminds us to prepare for the unexpected, not just chase returns. But there are some potential pitfalls. Focusing on luck can feel discouraging, since it's out of our control. It might even lead to analysis paralysis, making people afraid to take action. What's the practical lesson? Control what you can, like diversifying, having insurance, and keeping an emergency fund, and accept that some things are simply unpredictable. Housel writes, "Wealth is the nice cars not purchased, the diamonds not bought." He argues that true wealth is often invisible. It's the money you don't spend, the assets you quietly build, and the financial security you create for yourself and your family. In a world obsessed with outward displays of success, Housel urges us to remember that real wealth is what you keep, not what you show. The ability to delay gratification, to resist the urge to buy now so you can invest for the future, is a key trait of those who build lasting wealth. So how does this lesson stack up? On the positive side, it's a great antidote to the Instagram lifestyle, reminding us that appearances can be deceiving. It encourages long-term thinking and delayed gratification. But there are challenges too. Delaying gratification can be tough, especially in a world that celebrates instant rewards. If taken too far, it can make life feel restrictive or joyless. Key takeaway: focus on building wealth quietly. The most important financial wins are often the ones nobody sees. Of course, the psychology of money isn't perfect. Let's take a step back and look at some common criticisms. Lack of actionable steps. The book is big on mindset, but light on practical step-by-step advice. Overemphasis on personal responsibility. Some say it overlooks bigger economic forces and inequality. Generalizations. Not every lesson applies equally to everyone. Context matters. Emotional advice can be vague. It's one thing to recognize a bias, it's another to change it. So, what's the real value of the psychology of money? Here's what's good. It reframes wealth as a personal and emotional journey, not just a numbers game. It empowers you to focus on habits you can control, like saving and patience. It encourages humility, patience, and self-reflection. But keep in mind, don't expect a how-to manual. This book is more about philosophy than tactics. Not every lesson fits every situation. Emotional awareness is just the first step. You still have to take action. Use this book as a mirror for your financial mindset. Reflect, adjust, and remember, money is a tool, not a scorecard. Thanks for watching. If you found this breakdown helpful, hit like, subscribe for more honest book summaries, and let us know in the comments. What's one lesson or criticism from The Psychology of Money that stood out to you? See you next time.